6 major considerations when to buy an overseas properties. Now, the first one is the popular destination. Well, this place has got to be well liked by travelers. It has got to be a place that people want to be there. You know, just like for example Singapore, people want to come here for tourism. They want to come send their kids here to studies. People want to come here for work. So that this place in itself has got to be a natural popular destination, so that it is a form of branding. The next would actually be population. It has to have an ever-increasing population so that there will be a demand for residential homes and also services. Then we also have currencies. I think those of us who are in Singapore, we would know that the Sing dollars has gone very strong, and we have appreciated hugely against the major currency. So that also means that if the country in which we are purchasing the property, the currency has this trend of having a downward pressure against that of a Sing dollar, then of course we wouldn't want it to happen, because that will actually devalue any possible capital gains that we may get from selling the property. And then the next would actually be developer. We need to ensure that the developer is a popular one and a developer that we can rely on for a very long time. And also, after we have purchased it, we also want to think about the exit. We also want to think about who is handling my after sales, who is handling my tenant base, and also selling the property. And lastly would actually be the barrier of entry. This is the part that I want to call to your attention and also to your memory. What happened in 2008 when Lehman Brothers collapsed? So this is actually the subprime crisis. And what is a subprime crisis? Generally, it means that people are over leveraged and there are funds or bonds that are built onto the different funds, and when the market start to collapse or the prices start to recede or turn southwards, come down, then people are starting to realize that it's very difficult for them to finance the loan. And then one thing leads to another, and ultimately it leads to the Lehman Brothers crisis, which actually bring the property price by quite a fair bit. So that was in year 2008. That also happened to be the time that I stepped into the real estate market as a new agent. And during that time, I remember that there were a lot of owners who purchased property on deferred payment scheme. They were only paying like 10% down payment, and then 90% they don't have to pay. They push it all the way back to when the project is TOP. Now that may actually sound very interesting, very attractive for buyers to enter the market, but that also means that potentially the market can go into an over-leveraged situation. And subsequently, you would realize that the market, the government began to come in with a lot of measures. They removed the deferred payment scheme. After they removed the deferred payment scheme, the developer became very creative. They come out with the IAS scheme called the Interest Absorption Scheme. So it's actually the same as deferred payment, except that they charge that 3 to 4 years construction period interest, and they only charge to you only at the point of the unit obtaining TOP. Then later on, the loan to value was reduced from 90% to 80% and reduced to the current 75%. And also subsequently, there were so many measures. These are just some of the measures that are listed. So why is the government doing this? The reason is because they do not want the citizens to be exposed to this kind of risk anymore. Especially many of us are using our CPF to fund our purchase. So the barrier of entry is purposely made hard. It's difficult for people to enter the market. But what is happening to the property prices in Singapore? It is still an upward trend. Foreigners are still wanting to buy, but the question is, can they afford the 60%? So when we consider overseas properties, we look at the leverage. Well, if it is easy for the property to be purchased, so it means that the risk factor is quite high. Do not go into one of the show and then think that, oh, wow, this one is very good, I can pay very easily, I can only pay upon DOP, and you think that it's very interesting and it's very affordable. Yes, easy entry also means risk is higher.